Help is on the way, dear. It is time to put up the shade cloth in my garden. Look at these poor droopy plants. In today's video, I am erecting a structure to go ahead and hang up my shade cloth on. Now, I had the entire 7 months where we weren't extremely hot to get that done, but it didn't happen. So instead, on this weekend where it was over 100 degrees, I killed myself to get this put up. I used 3/4 inch EMT conduit piping and connectors from Maker Pipe. With those connectors, you can connect them straight to your bed with these 1-hole straps. I went an extra measure and put a 4-foot rebar a couple feet into the ground, just because we get monsoons and I just wanted to be extra cautious. I really feel like it's necessary, but in your climate, it might be overkill. I connected my 1-hole straps on the second and third screw of the bed. These are the 17-inch tall Birdie's beds. Don't really want to go outside and look, but I feel like the two I picked were in the middle. I unfortunately don't have a detailed step-by-step guide for you today. I know that would be something I would be wanting if I clicked on this video, but it just wasn't feasible this time around. First of all, it was just way too hot for both the camera and myself, so it would have been a little bit too difficult to prioritize, getting the best angles and making sure the camera is not shutting off when it gets too hot. The second reason why is at some point I did need help, and those people did not necessarily want to be on camera, so of course I would respect their privacy there. And lastly, this was my first time tackling this type of project, and I was figuring things out as I went along, and it was definitely a learning experience for me. Recording every step would have added a lot of pressure and potentially led to mistakes. Well, more mistakes. Of course, I made mistakes and learned from it. So as this goes along, I will definitely make sure to insert a voiceover with tips of what I would recommend you do. And right on cue, my first tip is definitely to attach these connectors loosely together before you get up on the ladder and try to actually insert the pipes. And in combination with that, make sure that washer is facing the right way so you don't have to undo it after it's not working in 100-degree weather. But that, of course, didn't happen to me. I'm just saying you don't want that to happen. So of course, measure, and then cut. When you do measure, you're going to want to subtract about 2 inches for the actual fittings that you're putting the pipe into. There's about 2 inches shorter that you're going to need to adjust for those fittings. And then you're going to need a copper cutting tool. This is harder than it looks, to be honest, but you basically just spin and spin until it fully cuts through. Because I was able to get help on some of the first parts of this structure, I was able to go ahead and do this part by myself by attaching the top rails first before I put the the 10-inch EMT leg down in. there's probably a real word for that, but I attached the top rail before I actually stuck it in the garden bed because I was able to rest that rail on top of some of the other parts of the structure that were already built. If those parts weren't built, the other way you could get this done by yourself is by putting the connection lower and slowly moving it up and up and up until you're at the top. Or, of course, if your structure is smaller and shorter, it will obviously be a lot easier. But because a lot of mine was 10 feet wide, those poles were really heavy to do that by myself. So either you need help or you're going to make your connection lower and slowly undo one side, lift it up a little bit, then go to the other side, lift it up until you're at the top. To be honest with you, these connections were also really annoying. You have to make sure your pipes are somewhat straight in order to get this connected at the right perfect angle. Otherwise, they fall out, and then you also have to kind of tighten each side a little bit at a time to also make sure it keeps the connection straight, or it will fall out. I was not able to find any other alternatives online though, so if you want to build this out of EMT, this was the only thing I was able to find, but beware, it can be really frustrating, especially if it's really hot out and you're tired and you just want to get it done.
they're correcting your literal every time. It's done. Wow. Absolutely stunning. Yes, that's happening. Oh yeah. This is secure. Before it was pretty shaky. Like when I moved it like that. Yeah.
Time to put the shade cloth up. Now, believe it or not, we had a little bit of a cool down and the high was only 100, but still melting. I normally use zip ties to attach my shade cloth, but this time I wanted to try these 6-inch bungee cord canopy holders. I just kind of found it by looking up connectors for shade cloth. I'm using 40% shade cloth and I'm very sad. I should have got a 10 by 16, but I got a 10 by 20. These raised beds are in a 10 by 20 space, but the structure is not actually the full length of the beds, so I should have got a 10 by 16. I was originally going to have all the excess hanging out the back. I thought that would look best, but it was going to be too low and it was going to be catching on my trellises that I have on those back beds and not allow me to walk through without ducking. So I decided to split the difference and have a little bit hanging off the front and back. And that's this project all done. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you around next time. Bye!